Dear students, today we are going to discuss a continued part of chapter 13, Organisms and Populations. In our previous YouTube classes, we discussed about population attributes. In that we discussed natality, mortality, sex ratio, age pyramid, population density and population size. Today, in this YouTube classes, we are going to discuss about population growth. In that, we are going to discuss about growth model. So, what is a growth model? It is mainly help to predict the population of an organism based on how many time an organism reproduces and how many offspring it produces. These all criteria help to predict population of an organism at given period of time. Growth model can be defined as it is mainly help to predict the population of an organism based on how many time an organism reproduces. Within a year, whether the organism reproducing only once or it is reproducing twice in a year or it is reproducing many times in a year, that also help to find out the population and draw a conclusion of growth model. And how many offspring it produces? When it is undergone the process of reproduction, whether it is produce only one offspring or it may produce many offsprings or it may produce two offsprings. Based on that, it is going to be find out or predict the population of an organism at given period of time. Next, we move on to exponential growth model. This exponential growth model are also called as geometric growth model, or it is also called as J-shaped growth curve. So, this exponential growth model given by Thomas Robert Malthus. Thomas Robert Malthus wrote an essay on principle of population. In that, Malthus explained about human population which exhibit the exponential growth. The exponential growth model given by Thomas Robert Malthus, he wrote an essay on principle of population. In that, Malthus explained about human population which exhibit the exponential growth. In that, he explained about the human population which exhibit the exponential growth. How human population is showing the exponential growth? As a human population is growing exponentially over a past centuries. How it is growing exponentially? There is a rapid increase only, there is no decreases. So how it is growing? By producing large amount of food and forming appropriate shelters, and with that of learning how to control disease. How the human population is showing the exponential growth? By producing the large amount of food and with that of learning the controlling method for the diseases, and also by developing or by constructing appropriate shelters, so that the human beings are showing the exponential growth. This idea is given by Thomas Robert Malthus. According to Thomas Robert Malthus, any species will utilize its innate potential to increase in number when resource availability is unlimited. Any species will utilize its innate potential to increase in number when resources availability is unlimited. Yes, students, when we take an example of fruit flies, we suppose we'll take two fruit flies, we place it in a jar which containing the fruits in that, the availability of resources there in that jar, and we are placing two fruit flies and it is getting the resources which is essential for that fruit flies, and we allow to develop. So when we observed, after a few days there is a more number of fruit flies. Initially we kept only two fruit flies, but after few days when we observe, there are many fruit flies in that jar, because we provided the necessary resources unlimitedly. So by taking the resources, every organism utilizing that resources, every organism has an innate potential to increase in number. When resources is available in that particular jar, then the fruit flies will start reproducing and increase in number. That idea is given by Thomas Robert Malthus in his essay on principle of population. So that, so initially the fruit flies are only two. After few days, in each reproduction, the fruit flies lays 50 eggs. So when the resources is availability is more, there is increase in the number of fruit flies. They enormously increase in number of fruit flies, because every female will lay 50 eggs. Okay. Every female will lay 50 eggs, and these eggs will be hatched and develop into a young offspring. When this young offspring, it needs 14 days to reach the adult stage. So when it reaches to the adult stage, again it will reproduce. So within 14 days, the number will be doubled. Okay. One female fruit fly lays how many eggs? 15 eggs. And among these 15 eggs, there are maybe the 25 female are there, and they lay eggs 50. So at last when we observed, by 14 means between 2 weeks we'll observe the double number of the fruit flies in that jar. That is what here Thomas Robert Malthus is telling. Any species will utilize its innate potential to increase in number when resource availability is unlimited. More than requirement is there. So when more than requirement resources are there in that particular region or a particular place, every organism will increase in number. Next is Charles Darwin observed while developing the theory of natural selection. Charles Darwin observed while developing the theory of natural selection. So Charles Darwin, he is very much impressed about the research work what is done by Robert Thomas Malthus, and in his theory of natural selection, Charles Darwin was greatly influenced, because what idea he is given, he felt it is very true. Yes, when unlimited resources are available in our surrounding, there will be the accelerating increase in the population. Accelerating means by utilizing unlimited resources, there is increase in the population. For example, not only the animals or not only the insect, in plants also, when the availability of water is more, when the availability of the resources is more, automatically there will be the increase in the number of the plants in their particular area. So when availability of during rainy season, suppose we consider during rainy season, we'll see the number of grasses growing very fastly. Though if you see in summer season only 2-3 grasses, when we observed in rainy season, the number of grasses will increase. because the main criteria for this photosynthesis is water, and that when they get the sufficient amount of water and the availability of resources is more in its surrounding, automatically the number will increase in that plants. So that like that only. So here also Charles Darwin was said yes for the theory what Thomas Robert Malthus has been given. So this population, when the unlimited natural resources is available, the rapid increase in the population size is called as an exponential growth. He also concluded that when there is unlimited resources in the surrounding environment condition, there will be the rapid increase in the population. That concluded that the exponential growth. That concludes the exponential growth. Next, the graphical representation of exponential growth is, it is always a J shape. Here we'll see only two phases. One is a lag phase, another one is a log phase. Lag phase means initially the fruit flies are only 2. Yes, in the jar when we kept the fruits. When the resources is available, then what they happened? They increased in the number. The fruit flies been increased in number. That is what we call it as log phase. So like that only, initially there is a lag phase when they initially started, when they initially placed in that, only 2 are there. After few days when the resources are unlimited, they become double. Like that only, here we'll see only 2 phases in exponential growth model. So population density, capital N, with respect to time t. So the formula for exponential growth model is dn by dt is equals to Rn. So the rate of change of population, dn by dt is equals to b minus d into n. Let b minus d, b stand for birth, per capita birth rate, and d stand for per capita death rate, the average birth rate and average death rate, and it is equals to R. What is the intrinsic rate of natural increase? The intrinsic rate of natural increase is the rate can be understood by number of birth minus number of death per generation time. So B minus T into N is dN by dt is equals to Rn. So the intrinsic rate of natural increase is also called as Malthusian parameter. It is also called as a Malthusian parameter. Here in exponential growth model, we are seeing only 2 phases, lag phase and log phase. So because the lag phase is initial development, log phase when the resources are unlimited, it will grow fastly, and that growth we call it as exponential growth. In exponential growth model, R is the intrinsic rate of natural increase or Malthusian parameter. So this rate can be understood by number of births minus number of death per generation time. This rate can be understood by number of births minus the number of deaths per generation time. So intrinsic rate of natural increase can be calculated by the number of births minus number of deaths per generation time. Some examples they given here. The Norway rat, the R value for Norway rat is 0.015. And a floor beetle, the intrinsic rate of natural increase in floor beetle is 0.12. In human population, in the year 1981 in India, the intrinsic rate of during that year is 0.0205. It is being calculated based on number of births minus number of deaths in that particular generation time. During exponential phase, the growth equation become Nt is equals to N naught e raised to RT. This equation is very important and it will be asked for 2 marks. And this equation may ask in NEET examination also. So, during exponential phase, the growth equation become Nt is equals to N naught e raised to RT. Nt is population density after time t. N naught is population density at a time 0. R is intrinsic rate of natural increase and E is the base natural logarithm. The base natural logarithm is 2.71828. The base natural logarithm 2.71828. And the exponential growth is always J-shaped curve. Exponential growth is always a J-shaped curve, is obtained when we plot n in capital N in relation to time. Why? Because it is having only 2 phases. One is lag phase and another one is log phase. Dear students, we already seen the exponential growth model. In that exponential growth model, there are 2 phases. First one is a lag phase. Second is phase of acceleration. A phase of acceleration is also called as log phase. A lag phase, it is a first phase initially show a slow rate of growth in a population. Lag phase is a first phase initially shows the slow rate of growth in a population, followed by a rapidly accelerating stage of multiplication, followed by a rapidly accelerating stage of multiplication, means a log phase. Rapid increase in number of the population is called log phase, and it is also called as a phase of accelerating multiplication, is also called as a phase of accelerating multiplication. In exponential growth model, we are seeing only 2 phases. One is a lag phase and second one is a phase of acceleration. There is no steady phase because the resources are unlimited in exponential growth. Next is carrying capacity. It is always denoted by K. It refers to the maximum number of individuals which can be supported by the resources of a given habitat. Carrying capacity, it refers to the maximum number of individuals which can be supported by resources of a given habitat. In a given habitat, by providing unlimited resources, it is giving accommodation to maximum number of individuals. That entire condition we call it as a carrying capacity, that is K. It refers to the maximum number of individuals which can be supported by the resource of a given habitat. So that in an habitat, through unlimited resources, the number of organism or a population number will increases in maximum number. That we can define as that we can consider as a carrying capacity. Next is the exponential growth beyond the carrying capacity, because in exponential growth model we are seeing the lag phase, that is the initial stage of development, and we are seeing the phase of acceleration. There is no steady phase, so that the exponential growth beyond the carrying capacity, the number of individual species will goes on increase in number, they will never be decreasing. So that's what the exponential growth beyond the carrying capacity, because of unlimited resources. Next is exponential growth model is less realistic. Yes, we'll agree for this. The exponential growth model is less realistic. Nature will not provide unlimited resources to permit exponential growth. Yes, students, we discussed about Thomas Robert Malthus. In his Principles of Population, he discussed about the human population, that it is exhibits the exponential growth. But when we take the current situation, due to the coronavirus disease, many peoples are dying. So because there is no medicine for that disease. So during this condition, the what the Thomas Robert Malthus has said is will be become wrong, because when the disease, the coronavirus disease is not having medicine, so that many peoples are dying because of that coronavirus disease. Yes, the viral disease. So in this condition, we considered as the exponential growth model is less realistic. And next is, nature will not provide unlimited resources to permit the exponential growth, because there is environmental hazards, natural calamities will be there, earthquake will take place, cyclone effect will come, and the famines will come, floods will come. So that we are seeing in our surrounding many plants, they are destroyed due to the floods and heavy rainfall, so that it is not supporting always in the increase, always increase in population. It is not showing always a phase of acceleration, because due to natural calamities there will be the steady phase, there will be the decrease in the number of the species. So like that, here the exponential growth model is less realistic. Nature will not provide unlimited resources to permit the exponential growth. So in this topic, we discussed about the growth models. In that, exponential growth. Exponential growth is also called as a geometric growth. And students, now we are going to discuss important problem which we seen in the previous NEET question papers related to exponential growth model. The question is like this: if B is equals to 65, D is equals to 45, N is equals to 100, find out dN by dt. Option A 2000, option B 1000, option C 200, option D 100. Solution: dN by dt is equals to Rn. It is an exponential growth model formula. Let R is equals to B minus D. So R is equals to B minus D. Intrinsic rate of natural increase will get birth rate minus death rate. Birth rate minus death rate. So here B is equals to 65. 65. B is 65. Birth rate is 65. Minus death rate 45. Population density is 100. So 65 minus 45 is 20 into 100. The answer will be 2000. dN by dt is equals to 2000. Answer for this question is A. So intrinsic rate of natural increase, the rate can be understood by number of birth minus number of death per generation time. So like this, we can calculate the dN by dt is equals to, by using this formula, dN by dt is equals to Rn, we can calculate this problem. I hope you all understood today's YouTube class. Please learn and try to follow the notes what we are sending to you all every Saturday. I hope you all enjoying these classes, and be alert. Days are passing on. Please go through these all classes and learn. And whatever questions we assigned in Saturday PDF, what we are sending, the questions I have mentioned, 10 questions I given in each PDF. Please solve it. They are all important questions. We referred previous question papers of NEET on that basis, and some our own created questions we are giving as assignment. Thank you, dear students.